Hello and welcome to another episode of That 60s Recording Podcast, the podcast that has conversations inspired by the golden era of recording. Today's guest is Nao Anzai, who was recommended to me by Liam Goff, whose episode you will have heard by the time this comes out. And Nao is a producer, mix engineer, synth player, all manner of sort of like a career, a portfolio career in the music industry. But most notably, his approach to recording and his mentality towards recording is completely in line with what we love on this podcast, essentially. And in this episode, he talks about how he went about. It sort of jumps around all over the place, but essentially he talks about his approach to recording and a phrase that we start off talking about, this phrase that he's come up with called not the gear, but the ear. And essentially he doesn't care about gear. I mean, he does to an extent, you'll hear. But the sort of common theme that's run throughout everything he's done has been use what's available to you and learn how to make the best thing with that. And he has no doubt been able to do that. He's made some incredible records. I mean, if you want to, before you start listening to this episode, go and listen to the Teskey brothers stuff if you haven't already. Check out Cash Savage and The Last Drinks. That's a very similar sound to the Teskey brothers. And, in terms of the way it's recorded, I mean. And it's just brilliant. Just go and listen to those and then listen to this episode or vice versa. You will love it. So we'll just dive straight in. So here we go. Nao Anzai, part 1. So, I mean, the first thing that I want to ask you about is I absolutely love the phrase that you've got on your website, not the gear, but the ear. As soon as I saw that, I thought that's a guy that I need to speak to. Where did that come from? And just could you talk about your sort of attitude and what that sums up for you?
That phrase, I made it up when I moved to Melbourne, 2003, from Japan. Mm-hmm. I had a proper setup recording studio in Japan since end of 80s, 1988. Built a bit of like a away suburb of Tokyo, like a 50k down south from Tokyo on the coast. But when I moved to Melbourne, I didn't have anything. I couldn't bring the studio with me. So basically, I needed to work out the things with a very, very limited amount of equipment. So I need to work out the phrase to, promote my business. So, yeah, that one.
I mean, it just sort of sums up the kind of recording that I'm into, particularly, and it just shows that it's not the, as you say, it's not. You can have all the lovely equipment that you want, but unless you've got a good ear for what you're doing, you're going to struggle.
Exactly, yeah. So, interestingly, after I made up that phrase, I kind of proven that, not on purpose, just happened to be. Because all I had that first year was I shipped with me a small, 12-channel Behringer mixer.
Okay.
And just a handful of microphones. I had a kind of nice old 4-to-1 and things, but not many expensive condenser or anything. And I only had a setup with a computer. I've never done that before, actually. While I was in Japan, I was mainly using the Tascam 16 track.
Oh, cool.
And then computer audio was quite new, the early 2000. So it was just supporting the add more tracks because 16 is not enough, but still mainly using the 16 track analog. So, but I couldn't ship it. because it was not in good condition. It's not worth shipping it.
They're heavy as well.
I
those
don't have a
machines.
big desk to, use a 16 track. So I had an audio interface, very early days, like a 24-bit 96K possible. I think it was Echo Lighter or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had a Cubase setup then, or can be the very first version of Nuendo, simply because I don't like Pro Tools. I had a Pro Tools, but try not to use it. And then, so, yeah, that's all I had. So I made a record for the post-rock band called Laura. They had been the kind of most popular post-rock band in Australia for a while in mid to late 2000. And it was their very first full-length album. And I recorded and we made a first single out, 2003. And then somehow that became the single of the year in the local big magazine. That's a kind of local Melbourne music magazine, but probably the most influential then before the internet era. So I got the kind of enough name. And everyone said that, how to make that sound, blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't tell them. It was a Behringer mixer with a few 57,
Amazing. I love that. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, so that's kind of proven that works, so I kept it.
Have you still got it now?
So, yeah, like I think because when I started a recording studio in late 80s, before that, or actually till I moved to Australia, recording engineer or recording was my side business.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been working mainly as a synthesizer programmer and keyboard player.
Yeah, Liam mentioned this. This sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, as a side business, as a recording studio. At the start, when I built my recording studio, I asked my friend, good engineer, to come as an engineer. Then I just gonna stay as a producer role when I'm recording band. And when I'm recording my stuff with the media and things, making the music for the video and things, then I can do by myself. But I'm not a professional recording engineer, so I asked somebody else to come in for recording actual band. Then one day, because he was good, he got too busy. So I need to work out by myself. So I just, watched him how to do that. And then after that, basically, because at that time, only 16 track, and we didn't have lots of posh mics and things. We only have two big electric condenser, which was Sony. And other than that, 41s, 57, that's almost it. So 4 mics on the drums. So basically, it is super important where to put the mics.
Yes.
Because some bands, drummer bring the 4 toms, lots of cymbals, but only have 4 mics, for the drums. So that only way to work it out is just use your ear, find a hot spot for the, mic position. That is only way I know. There's no other method. So, yeah.
So were you moving the mics based on, for different drummers? So, for drummers playing very cymbal heavy, you've got to, adjust the positions.
Yeah. So, sometimes only 3, because of the channels, allowed for the drums. So in that case, I have to put 1, of course, on the kick. And then other 2 need to capture all toms and cymbals and snare in a nice balance. So it's quite a big trick, but we've been used to do that. So every drummer, every drum kit has a different good spot for the microphones, not always the same. So we didn't decide visually where it should go. We only need to use ears to listen here, hit the toms, high tom and low tom, then snare, maybe a bit less, then position, and got another mic, hit the floor tom, cymbals, and where it should be, high, low, or that's all we could do. So
are you talking? I'm a drummer, so I'm interested in this.
yeah.
So are you talking sort of a stereo overhead style thing, or have you got? Are you putting them in different places?
Interestingly, when it's analog, only a few mics or 4 mics, I don't think I ever done the overhead.
Okay.
It's always underhead. because I want to capture more toms, snares, all those elements, rather than too much cymbal. It needs to have a cymbal, but not a cymbal heavy. Then if you put the overhead, unless the drummer is particularly, hit the toms really hard, but really softly hit the cymbals, usually overhead always cymbal heavy.
Yes.
And later, if I squash the comp, even more cymbal heavy.
Yeah.
So what I learned is basically underhead, between toms and cymbals, or sometimes just the side of the toms kind of height, and then still enough cymbals there. And when you squashed it, actually it's better balance.
Interesting.
Yeah, I never put the overhead usually. Yeah, when it comes to only 3 or 4 mics. Yeah.
So are you thinking kind of between the two toms, sort of over the bass drum underneath the ride cymbal, perhaps, or have you got like a starting point that you like?
The starting point I usually did then was it's up to do I have enough channel to put the snare mic or not.
Okay.
And in most of the cases, if you capture the two, one stereo pair, should I say stereo pair or not? But I don't know. Anyway, use those underhead mics in a good position. Then in most of the cases, I don't really need a snare mic because most of the drummer has a very loud snare comparing to the toms and cymbals. So unless the drummer snare is not really loud, I don't really need this snare mic. In most of the cases, snare mic is turned down quite low.
Yeah.
So I usually put the one mic between hi-hat and fast thumb, but carefully, choose a position which is not too hi-hat heavy.
Yes.
But still good balance between that thumb and snare and hi-hat. And the other one, and at that time somehow in Japan, most of the drummer has a 2 rack thumbs and 1 floor thumb.
Okay.
That was a kind of standard setup. And another one going between the mid thumb and floor thumb underneath the ride cymbal somehow. And again, capture some of the snare drum as well. But of course, the hi-hat side mic usually get more snare.
Yeah.
So unless you have a separate snare mic, it's quite hard to position the snare at the center. I
was going to ask, so you're panning these? Yeah.
Kick always center, but snare on the one side, a little bit shift to one side. That was a normal then. Actually, the many recording at that time or 70s recording things the same. Snare is not really always up to center. While they're trying to put the kick center. Then later I understand why should we put the kick over the center. Then later I understand, very recently, like the last 10, 12 years, because I'm doing the mastering for lots of vinyls. And then when it comes to vinyl, if kick at the center, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So now I understand. Yeah.
Were you EQing much of these? So you were compressing after the fact. Were you putting any EQ on the way in through the desk? Yeah.
So at that time, I was using those Tascam 16-track recorder with a big Tascam desk called the M600.
Okay.
That was a nice desk, particularly the EQ was very nice, but Pre was not really nice. Pre was good enough. But you may not know, but there was a kind of big game changer happened early 90s, just around 90, 91, 92, when the company called Mackie started a new desk. Before Mackie and after Mackie, any desk, affordable desk, say not the SSL, not the NIB, say under $20,000 mark, right? Any desk under $20,000 mark, their best pre is just sounds good, but still noisy.
Yes.
When the market came in, we were super impressed because of the super low noise for that price of desk.
Interesting.
So not because we are impressed by the sound character,
Yes.
but the cleanness. And somehow that changed the game. Before that, any good sounding desk, but not expensive, means you have to bear with the noise coming from mic pre. Yeah. So that Tascam desk is exactly like that. So I remember mine was 600, and there was another better version called the 700. 600 is the biggest separate console, and 700 is the big and inline console, like SSL style. And both are the same generation, but both are the same pre. That one of the recording studio, a serious commercial recording studio in the countryside near the Mount Fuji, they didn't have a budget to buy SSL or need those things, but they want to have a serious recording session. So they could afford that 700 Tascam flagship model, but they knew that pre is not good enough. So what they done is they actually invited, the chef, the under chef, the engineer.
Oh, yeah.
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 They invited him to modify the desk.
Oh, cool.
So that Tascam desk is a Tascam desk, everything Tascam, but pre, chef came in and put all the chef pre all through.
Wow. Fantastic. Are they still using that desk now?
Still in the studio near the Mount Fuji, I think so.
Yeah, they still use the desk now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, wow,
so
very cool.
Amazing sound. And EQ is Tascam, but Tascam EQ is nothing bad. It's not like a knee, but I kind of like it. So as long as you had a top quality pre gain part, then that's done. It's good desk.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Do you sort of still sticking with that era of your sort of career? How did guitars and bass work? Were you miking up? So if we talk about guitars,
we just mic'd up with the 421 or 57 or something like that. Sometimes that's Sony electric condenser. The Sony electric condenser, again, the same thing. Its sound character-wise, it's still nice condenser, but it's super noisy comparing to the new generation after 90s. And another game changer in early 90s was Rode NT2.
Yeah.
When that came out, all other cheap condenser mic became a history because the noise ratio is completely different. I was still remembering the really shocking moment when I bought a pair of Rode NT3, like a biggish, like kind of small diaphragm pencil style, but kind of biggish pencil.
Yeah.
And I use it for the overhead to record the drums. As usually I use the Sony electric condenser. And I found out the amount of noise is completely different. I didn't particularly like the character of the Rode mic. It's a little bit too shiny, too botany, but yeah, I have to say it's super clean. So yeah,
you're not the first, the sort of first engineer I've spoken to who's spoken really highly of the Rode mics. There's Malcolm Toft who makes the Toft. Trident desks. He said, he knows his eggs, and he was saying that the Rode stuff's really, really good. He loves it.
Yeah, you have to understand that I never liked the Rode character, but I have to say it's still the cleanest mic ever made. So one day after I moved to Melbourne, I was asked to record the theater play, no mics. No back mic or anything. So I'm allowed to just hang the mic from the ceiling. That's all I could do. And I need to quickly, it was a kind of last minute request, I need to quickly gather all the mics. I brought two of the Rode NT3 and I hired a pair of the AKG 451 and then another pair of Carrec, I think, and then 6 mics hung from the ceiling and recorded. And later, of course, I need to gain up a lot because it's just a theater conversation about, a couple of meters down from the hand mic. It's quite quiet.
Yes.
And it gained a lot. And that revealed NT3 is a solo winner
Wow.
of the noise ratio.
Yeah,
Against AKG, against Carrec, way quieter.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So then after that, I decided, okay, even though I'm not a big fan of the character of this mic, I keep it.
Yes.
For any distance recording, like a room mic in the big theater, this works. Because I can EQ it, you know. I don't like a top end, then EQ down. Bottom end too much, just roll cut, you know. But noise, if you cut the noise digitally, it's changed the, you know, into some kind of digital sound. So so there's still like in the Teskey Brothers recording at the Forum Theater, the big analog recording, but I put that Rode NT3 pair at the balcony, on the balcony side, and then it still worked.
Wow.
It's about 20 meters away from the stage, and it's still, you know, quiet enough. I mean, clean enough. So so of course I didn't like a character, so I EQ'd a lot, but still that less noise helped me a lot in that situation. So
oh, very cool. I'm interested. I mean, I don't know anything about sort of the music scene in Japan. What was it like growing up for you? Through
it's a kind of story, and then that story behind why I moved from Tokyo to Melbourne. So when I was young, say I was born in 1962. 1964, Beatles came to Japan. At that time, I have to say I had lots of things from my, you know, the mentors, one generation higher. Going to the Beatles concert was prohibited by schools. At that time. Wow. Rock and roll was evil.
I love it.
So if you go to the Beatles concert, you're gonna be, you know, you're gonna be grounded, kind of thing, you know. So I was too little, but I was brought up in that circumstances. But still, if you turn on the TV channel, there was a Japanese band scene there, like a so-called group sounds, like Spiders or those bands. So I was brought up with those local bands' music. And then when I was 7 years old, Yellow Submarine movie came to the theater, you know, movie theater. And my aunt took me to the movie theater to see it. That blew my mind as a 7 years old kid.
I bet,
Like a complete psychedelic, you know. And it just planted something in my head then. So when I was in end of primary school, some of the senior friends starting the bands, covering the Stones and Deep Purple, Zeppelin or whatever, and some Japanese indie rock bands. And I saw them at the school concert or something, and this is cool. So that kind of quite indie rock scene was quite active in Japan in early 70s and mid 70s. And throughout till mid 80s, I think. But in the 80s, across the late 80s, there was a big change in Japanese music scene. Till then, basically, all young people was listening to overseas music. But that's a cool thing. You know, listen to the US hit song, UK hit song, even the French one, whatever, coming from overseas. This is cool, you know. We don't have it here. We can do something like this, blah, blah, blah. Somehow in the mid-80s, some producers start making the Japanese pop music really good. That is nothing bad. And even the Japanese rock music scene became a kind of major scene. That is nothing bad, but that became a kind of new genre called J-pop. Or J-rock. And then after that became huge. So it's one generation younger than I am. So maybe the people now 40 something. Their generation stopped listening to the overseas music.
Okay.
And somehow the Japanese media had a problem and still has a problem, even worse. Point is, maybe you can't believe this, but community radio, bigger than 500-meter reach, is illegal.
Oh, right. Wow.
That was a law Japanese government was almost forced to make during the Korean War time.
Okay.
By the pressure from U.S. government against the communism, basically.
Yeah.
So any big community radio can become the movement, for the people to activate those things, those thoughts. So it's not great. Okay. So community radio is really small township radio only. Still the same law dominates. So only the big radio station, commercial radio station, or 500-meter square. So there is no big enough indie music scene surviving by themselves.
Yeah, I see.
Until all the young people was listening to the overseas music, commercial radio had some program to follow that, people's interest. But once J-rock, J-pop flourished, then all the young people stopped listening to overseas music. Quickly, all the big radio stations stopped all the program about those overseas music.
Okay.
So it's now quite small numbers of radio stations is following the overseas music scene. And the magazines, even worse. The very last magazine, major magazine, which was all about overseas music scene, stopped, discontinued about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it is now the Japanese music scene is perfectly domestic. And the worst part is not only that, Japanese economy was quite high, late 80s, early 90s. So somehow Japanese record market was only one Japanese country record market was bigger than entire UK EU.
Wow.
Around 1990.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I decided to not stay in Japan, I was working in one of the top band in Japan as a backup band member or the recording programmer, thing like that, in the mid-90s. And they are a super good band. They could have been worldwide famous because of their quality and interesting music scene. And then they tried. They are almost with their own management company. So they're the main artist of that management company. And they both are keen to go overseas. Just in the midst of 90s, and they have already sold millions of copies in Japan. They completely conquered Japan, and they won't go overseas. And Sony was the company then, Japan.
Yeah.
Then they had a super big budget. Like when I was recording with one of the album, the budget was like, say, $150,000.
Okay, wow, yeah.
Kind of thing. So they're big. But when they told Sony that we're going to go overseas, could you support us? They simply said no.
Wow.
Then we asked why. Their logic is US market is too risky to invest money. And European market is too small, not profitable.
Yeah, yeah. So
stay in Japan. And that's what the
yeah, so short-sighted, isn't it? That's crazy.
Yeah, they're big enough to do the things by themselves. So without the record company's help, at that time there is no indie movement, there is no internet. Releasing a record need to go through the major recording company. But they had a good enough amount of money piled up, so the band and the management by themselves, went overseas, see the festivals, talk to the festival director to book them, blah, blah, blah. They did a lot. And independently talk to each branch of the Sony all over the world. Do you want to release us?
Yeah.
At that time, that band was doing Latin music, mixed into the rock and Japanese pop. So as a result, the Brazilian Sony decided, okay, we are solely interested in, even the headquarter not, then we're going to release it. So could you make a Portuguese version? So, actually, we made it.
Wow.
So we actually toured Brazil. And also toured Germany, played at the Monterey Jazz Festival in Switzerland, and Midem in France. We did all those things by our own budget, not by the recording company budget. So after that incident happened, then I thought, now the recording business in Japan will not go anywhere.
Yes.
So if they're definitely the top one of the top band then. So if you become a top artist here in Japan, there is no exit. That's the end. So there is no way I stay in there. That's one of the reasons why I decided to go away.
That's fascinating. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
What was so you're a musician. What's your first instrument? What do you play?
I've been playing the synthesizers.
Oh, of course it is. Sorry, I knew that already.
I learned the piano when I was a kid, but I was the worst student of my piano teacher because I hate practice. Yeah. But I was not fired by her because my 8 years younger brother was the best student of hers. He later became a pianist.
Okay, wow.
But I know, comparing to my brother, there's no way I can be a pianist. But somehow, when the synthesizer was still the super new thing, no one is teaching it because no one knows what it is. But still came in. And then it's a mid-70s. Yeah. Late 70s. Finally, the Yamaha or Roland, Korg, those things started and synthesizer became kind of affordable.
So you're a teenager at this time?
Yes. Yeah. So when I was 15 years old, I bought the first synthesizer. Wow. Which was Yamaha CS30, which is still, I'm using it here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Still, I love that synth. So, but when it came out, there was no textbook or anything. So I just taught myself.
Okay.
And somehow I loved it. So I kind of quickly familiar with the logic behind synthesizer. So by the time I hit the university, the band and things, and I was playing a lot of synths. And at that time, somehow, the early 80s, suddenly synths become a big thing, throughout 80s. I didn't expect that. So I didn't expect that synths can be a career path for me when I got that.
Yeah, you were just interested in them.
Yeah, those, but... Yeah.
So there we have it, Nao Anzai Part 1. Hope you've enjoyed listening to that. I absolutely loved speaking to him, and I feel like he's just super wise when it comes to doing things by ear, and I love it. I realised listening back to my introduction that my voice sounds a little bit tired, and that is because I am tired. Getting back to gigging now, and I've had, how many shows have I done this week? 3 or 4. And feeling a bit knackered, to be honest with you. And I've got another 4 this weekend. And there was me thinking post-pandemic that I would just be concentrating on the studio. I'm going to have to redress this balance and get back to doing studio stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. I'd just like to remind you all that if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that by buying one of the lovely enamel mugs. They are on my website, allyouneedisdrums.com, and there is a link to the shop there. Thank you to everyone that's bought one already. If you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, if you would be so kind as to just scroll down on the podcast homepage and give us a review. I mean, I'd love it to be 5 stars, but that kind of stuff just helps with keeping the sort of podcast at the forefront of things. And we're growing quite a lot at the moment, which I'm really happy about, and I'd like to keep that momentum flowing. So yes, that's it. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Rory for editing and uploading and doing all of the podcast legwork, to Joe Kane for the intro and outro music, and David Henshaw for the artworky supplies. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.